No, in Kenya, it's good. All right. Good evening, everybody. Sorry about that. For me here, it's good afternoon. So my name is Joyce Owaga Mlama, like Christine introduced, and thank you all so much for showing up. And I hope I will be of help to you in the next hour or so. This is just a follow-up webinar. Like I said, we had the first one 2 weeks ago. We had a lot of questions, a lot of areas that needed clarity. And so that's what I'm going to be trying to do today. I'm going to be trying to go through, make some of those corrections so that you are well equipped with the right information and so that you can start this journey. So again, welcome to Nursing Opportunities Abroad, and my name is Joyce Owaga. Okay, so who is Joyce? Before I, let you know what I do, my nursing journey actually started off many years ago when my husband got sick and I was forced into a caregiving position. And so while taking care of him in the hospital, he constantly reminded me that he felt I had missed my calling. And of course, I had already been in school, done BCom, I was working in marketing, I enjoyed that. So I was like, no, I'm not, I'm fine with what I'm doing. But he kept telling me, if you ever get an opportunity to go back to school, go back and be a nurse or be a doctor. Well, while taking care of him in the hospital, I actually realized that first of all, I got to understand what nurses do, what caregivers do, but I also got to realize that if you did not have any medical knowledge, you were really incapacitated in terms of knowing how you were going to take care of your patient because you did not have the right answers or questions to ask the doctor, and you were relying on the doctors, relying on the nurses, the caregivers there, and because you didn't know what to ask, whatever they told you is what went. I quickly discovered that a lot of mistakes were being made while my husband was in the hospital. I mean, some of the mistakes were so obvious. Things like we would be asked, I remember one time being asked to donate blood. I got people to donate blood for my husband, and then they told me the blood was stolen from the blood bank, and there were actually really many mistakes that I knew were made. I couldn't put my finger on them because I didn't know what had happened. I didn't know what questions to ask. But, things like a patient being bedridden for a long time, nobody was getting them out of the bed. And so, of course, they developed blood clots, So fast forward, my husband did not make it. He passed away. And years later, I relocated to the United States. I was remarried again. And at the back of my mind, I kept remembering him telling me, you missed your calling. At one point, he was hallucinating and he kept telling me he sees me as a Florence Nightingale. And I was like, who is that even, So I come to the United States and I can't get that off my mind. And I'm like, maybe I really was called to be a nurse. Let me think about this. So I go into nursing school. And while I'm in nursing school, of course, I realize I have a lot of unfinished business. My first encounter in nursing school was one time when I was taking care of a patient who happened to be the age my husband was when he passed away. And this patient was actually African-American, the same age my husband was when he died. And unfortunately, this patient did not make it. And I did not see this patient as the patient. I actually was seeing my husband, and I realized I needed that closure. And of course, that helped me get the closure. But another thing that nursing school did for me also, I remember during one of my psych rotations, I was just doing one of my psych rotations. My dad back in Kenya had just retired and he went into a depression, I guess that whole retirement thing. And I didn't know how to help him. But my psych rotation, just the information I was able to get, taking care of the patient, I actually happened to be taking care of a patient who was also going through depression. So just what I was being taught to use to help that patient was the same information I used to help my dad. And good news, my dad is alive today. He survived that. He's strong, and I usually come to see him every year. So I was so thankful for what that information as a nurse helped me to have. And so it's because of that that I've been like, with all that I have been able to gain as a nurse, I felt that it is my responsibility to also share, equip, and help as many people as I can with the information I've got as a nurse. And so today I'm an author, I'm an advanced practicing registered nurse, I'm a patient advocate, I'm a public speaker, a nurse educator, and I'm a nurse coach. I just want to share with you why this opportunity in the United States is great because of what it has done for me, how nursing has changed my life. So being a nurse has changed my life in many ways. One of the things it has done for me is because I'm a nurse, the middle picture there is just me when I was starting my nursing career. That's about 15, 16 years ago. The one on the left, me graduating with my master's. One of the things nursing does for you here in the United States is most of your employers are going to take you back to school. So they take you back to school, quote unquote, it's free, but not free because you work for them for you sign a 2-year contract with them. You work, they take you back to school, they pay everything for you, and then you're able to, once you work for them for 2 years, they pay your school, and then when you come back, of course, you're promoted because you've now gained extra education. So that's one thing you can gain when you come here. Just make sure you find an employer. Most of those employers will take you back to school, but that's an advantage you can take care of. Just being a nurse has also availed me to have the finances where I'm able to come to Kenya once or twice every year. The other picture is me taking my parents on vacation. So nursing really helps you because of what you're able to make. That's another picture of my house there. Just by being a nurse, I'm able to afford a house like this. And so I want to just encourage you that there are opportunities here that are going to help you, not only help yourself, but to help your families and just to make a difference for yourself. As a nurse, I've also been able to share my story in a book. I have my book, there, Caregiving, The Momentum of a Decision, where I share my story. It's more of my memo. I share my story of my nursing journey and where I am today. I've also been able to author a book, Wealth Footprints, The Momentum of a Decision. So this is just to show you that being a nurse actually gives you a lot of opportunity. It helps you to get, to be financially able, or gives you a financial advantage. And it's because of that that I wanted to share this opportunity with you so that you too can be able to benefit from it. So why am I doing this? First and foremost, to empower more African nurses. There is an opportunity for nursing here in the United States because of the shortage that of nurses that we are having here in the United States. And I just thought, instead of sitting on this opportunity, why not share it? That for me is also my contribution to the nursing shortage. But more than that, I just believe as a Christian that to him much is given, much is needed. The Bible also tells us that after we've been comforted, to go and comfort the other people. So I just want to be able to share that with you so that we can be able to do that. So who is this opportunity for? This opportunity is for all of us, or all age groups. Let me first of all talk to you nurses out there who are my 5th floor, 6th floor nurses, and you feel like you've worked hard, you're at that point of retirement, but you're feeling like, I'm not quite ready because it's time for you to retire. Yes, you're going to be given this money, but you're looking at it like, what will I do with this money? I mean, you're retiring at 65. What if you lived up to 90? That money that you're given, is it even going to be helpful to you? So if you're in that category, you're feeling like, am I too old for this? No, you're not. In fact, the fact that you have all this knowledge, you can be, you're really a good candidate for this opportunity. And the other thing that this opportunity is going to give you as an older nurse is that you'll be able to travel. Like, you'll come with the agency that you pick, you work for them for 2 years. It gives you an opportunity to become an American citizen. You're able to choose where you want to retire. You're able to, if you want to build back home and do your retirement home, you'll be able to make that money for that. But if not, you'll be able to travel to different places and enjoy that retirement you never thought you were going to be able to enjoy. So this opportunity is available for you, so you're not too old. Even if you're 60, 65 years old, you're not old. Most of the nurses here in the US work until they're 80 years old, and you can choose like the nursing path that you're going to get. Of course, being older, you've already done a lot of bedside, you're tired. You can actually choose a job that is not going to be too taxing for you. So those opportunities are available for you. If you're a middle-aged nurse and you're thinking like, okay, I have all these specialties, what am I going to do with them? I've kind of, I mean, I'm not getting any opportunity to be promoted here. This is your opportunity. When you come to the United States, you have a lot of choices that you can choose from, especially if you want to go back to school and do your master's, do your PhD, those opportunities are availed for you. But not only that, you can actually veer into different specialties. You can start even your own company, you can start an agency, you can start your own clinic if you go and you do your nurse practitioner. So you have a lot of opportunity that is availed for you. If you're a younger nurse and you're thinking like, I'm just in school, I'm not sure, when I get off, am I going to get a job and all of that? Yes, this is your opportunity. And you see, if you start this process early, but for example, if you're a young graduate who is just graduating, you start this process early. By the time, because the process usually takes about 2 years or so, by the time you're at that 2-year mark, you've already had your 2-year experience, which is basically what they need you to at least have. So you'll be able to have got your 2 years experience and you're able to come as a young person. My goodness, the sky is the limit. You'll be able to pursue this opportunity. You'll be able to go back to school, get your master's, get your PhD. You'll also be able to decide what specialty you want to. You are the people who I know can build yourselves up and start the next clinic, start your next agency, So I encourage you. It doesn't matter what age you are. You might be at the retirement age, middle age, young age. It does not matter what age you are. This opportunity is available for all of you, whatever age you are. I usually encourage nurses, as a nurse, you must learn to be creative with your license. You've worked so hard for this nursing degree. Let it pay you. Let it give you something in return. Most of us caregivers are never told thank you enough for what we do. So let's take advantage of this opportunity. So, of course, nurses are in demand. This is just the statistics from the nursing board. It tells us that nurses are in demand. Between 2020 and 2040, a lot of baby boomers are going to be retiring. That's just the older nurses. And so there's going to be a lot of opportunities available for nurses. Of course, COVID also made it worse. Most of the older nurses do not want to come back to the bedside or to the hospital. And so that has created even a bigger problem and opportunity for nurses. So, all right. So who qualifies? Who qualifies? I know last time this was one of the areas that was not very clear because of the 3 to 5 years experience. So the diploma nurses in Kenya, your course usually takes 3 to 3.5 years. The diploma course in the United States also takes about the same time. But so a diploma nurse in Kenya is equivalent to a registered nurse in the United States. Okay, so a diploma nurse, if you've gone through any course, KMTC, whatever private colleges you have, done that diploma course that takes the 3 to 3.5 years, you qualify. So let me make that very clear. I know the last time we said I wasn't sure whether that was because they needed you to have gone to a 4-year college. But the 3 to 3.5 year course, which is the diploma course in Kenya, qualifies. So you qualify to come, you qualify for this opportunity. So the BSN nurse also, if you've done the Bachelor of Science in Nursing, it's the same equivalence as the Bachelor of Nursing here in the United States. So if you've gone to the 4-year degree course where you do your Bachelor of Science in Nursing, then you also qualify. That one was clear. BSNs qualify and the diploma nurses qualify. I know there is another diploma that takes less than the 3 and 3.5 years. I think it's the certificate course. Those ones don't qualify. Those ones don't qualify for this opportunity. I would encourage you, if you're in that category, just go back and get your diploma, and then you would be, this opportunity would be available for you. I want you to see that that window is big. You have 20 years where this shortage is going to be a reality. I think there's a lot you can do in that 20 years. So I would just encourage you, if you're in that category, if you're thinking it's a 3.5 year course, you can always go back to school, okay? So where do you start? Where do you start? So first and foremost, if this is an idea you're thinking about, if you're considering this opportunity, the first place for you to start would, first of all, have a professional CV, have a professional CV that is well aligned. You want it to be well aligned because what happens to the recruiting agencies in the United States is that they use a computerized system. So when all of you send these applications to them, there are certain things that the computer, they don't sit down and start looking through your, your applications one by one. They don't have that time. So they put it through the computer, and the computer system picks up certain things. So that's why you want your CV to be well aligned. You need to be showing that you have the experience, you've worked in a hospital that has at least a capacity of 150 to 200 patients. You want to show that you have like a 2-year experience. You want to show on that CV that you have, you've dealt with different equipments, because most of the equipments, the hospitals here in the US use equipments, and they want you to show that you know how to use those equipments. So you want to kind of make sure that you've noted, put that down in your CV, the equipments that you've written. This is also a good opportunity for you to make sure you have your referees. As you're doing your internship for the new nurses, make sure you're making good relationships so that you can talk to those people to be your referees. So you want your referees there so that when you're asked to provide their names, you do. One of the things the Americans are going to do, they are going to call those referees. So the best thing for you, if you've already identified somebody as your referee, tell them about yourself so that when they are called, whatever they are saying is the same thing that you've written in your CV. So I'm not talking about John somewhere, and what I'm saying about John, I'm saying, oh, he worked in mental health, and yet John has applied for a position in med-surg. So that conflict. And once they see the conflict of ideas, they usually just kick you out, because like I said, a lot of it's many of you who are asking for the same opportunity. So you don't want to be kicked out. You are qualified, but just because you did your CV wrong, then you're kicked out of or not given an opportunity. A lot of people don't make it because of that. I've also talked ensuring you have the right referees. Make sure whoever is going to be your referee is somebody you have talked to, is somebody who is going to say something good about you. You don't want to put somebody there who is going to give a negative reference for you, and then you miss your opportunity. You also want to practice how to interview. A lot of these interviews are going to be done on Skype or on Zoom. So you want to have practiced. Practice that interview, Find somebody who is doing mock interviews so that you practice and you know what you're going to be asked. Most of the interviews here, I know they're going to be asking you about your experience. They're going to be asking you about, again, like I said, the bed capacity, where have you worked? They're going to be asking you about your patient ratio. They'll be giving you certain questions about prioritizing your patients. For example, you've been given 4 critical patients. They give you different scenarios. Just excuse me. So they give you different scenarios about the patient, and they want to see that you're able to identify how to prioritize your patients, okay? They also want, in these interviews, they're going to be asking you about teamwork. They want to see that you're a team player. So they want to see that you understand critical care. They also want to see that you have something special that you're offering. So you want to present something that, or have it at the back of your mind, so that when they ask you, they're going to ask you a question like, why do you think we should consider you compared to the other people? So you want to have something that you've done at your place of work that makes you stand out. What is that one thing that you feel is your strength? That one idea that you've shared at your place of work that makes you stand out, that made a difference for your organization, that made a difference for your patient. So you want to be documenting your stuff so that when you're asked those questions, you have that thing. And the best thing to do it is have these things well in advance, so that when you're asked, you're not trying to think through it. You already have it, okay? Then after you have all those 3 in place, then you want to identify a recruitment agency to work with. The reason why you want to identify a recruitment agency is a lot of these recruitment agencies are going to do for you most of the work. As you're going to see, as I continue with the presentation, there is a lot that you have to put together, and it's also, financially, you need to also put in a lot of finances. So having that information is going to help you. Okay. So where do you start? These are some examples of some of the agencies, recruitment agencies that you can start with. Avant, I know a lot of Kenyans have used Avant. Avant is a favorite of most. And because Avant does for you most of the things. And in the next slide, I'll be showing you like what you expect the agency to do for you. So Avant is good. Interstaff is good. Only thing with Interstaff, when you're going for the interview, they let you pay for your interview to the site that you're going to, either that will be India or South Africa, and then they give you the money back. So you kind of have to have the money earlier, but you know, if somebody can pay for you so that you don't think of that money, that's good. You have MedPro. Kennedy is also very good. A lot of Kenyans have used that. Ogeri Payton is also very good. Right now, I'm helping one of the nurses that came with Ogeri Payton, and she tells me she's happy with what they were able to do for her. Global Nursing Recruiters, International Medlink. This is not like a comprehensive list. I'm just giving you the ones that I know most of the Kenyans have used, and that's why I'm saying Avant, Kennedy, Ogeri Payton, and Interstaff and MedPro are some of the ones that most of the Kenyans use. But you just want to choose the one that will work for you. What I would advise at this point is that because you're trying to get into the system, interview with as many of them as possible. The one that takes you fast, go with them. Okay, go with them, because you want to put your foot in the door. So sometimes don't be too choosy. I'm just telling you the best ones, and you can always negotiate. And once you're in, you can agree to go with that one as you're still waiting for the rest. And if the one that you feel is going to be the best for you comes up, then go ahead with them. Avant, even though they are the best, they have so many people, everybody wants to work with them. So you might not get that opportunity. So instead of waiting, just go for your next or second best choice. Okay. Okay. So what do you want the agencies to offer you? So you want an agency that is going to pay for you your CGFNS fees. You want an agency that will pay for you the NCLEX, one that will pay for you to your testing center, one that will pay for your flight, help you with your immigration process, your medical fee. Most of them don't really pay for your medical fee. So that's one area that I know you kind of have to have your money. But like I said, you're negotiating. So just negotiate the best deal. One that will help you interview with potential employers, one that will help you with your accommodation once you come here. Like I said, the lady that I'm asking you that came with O'Grady, one of the things O'Grady does for them is that it helps them to, it works as a sponsor for them. And so when they come, it helps them with the accommodation, settling down, because you need a sponsor for you to be able to even get a place that you can rent, somebody to sponsor you, so that because you don't have a credit history. So you need a sponsor that is going to say, yes, I'm sponsoring this person. So that helps the place you're going to rent for you to be able to get a mortgage, or to be able to get the rent contract. Okay. So welcome package, help you secure a car. Like O'Grady again gives them a package where they are, links them up with a car dealer. So when they come, they're able to go to the car dealer and they're able to get their cars. So you just want an agency that is going to make your process as easy as possible, or as manageable as possible. Okay. So what is required? Now, this is not in any particular order. Like the English test is a requirement, but depending on how your process goes, and I'll keep talking about that as I go, you'll want to know when exactly to do it. But you're required to do an English test. That can be TOEFL. TOEFL is more American-based, or the International English Language Testing System, which is the IELTS. That is more British. I'd advise us being Kenyans, because we did the British English, I'd advise most of you to do the IELTS, just because it's going to be easier than the TOEFL, because you're already used to the British English. The package takes about 26 to 30,000. I would suggest registering on their online portal, because depending on the time that you do it. These prices vary depending on the time that you do it. So when you're ready to do it, just register on their online portal and they'll tell you the right price for the exam. Some of the things you can do, the British Council has a lot of information that you can use for preparation. So instead of paying like an extra amount of money, because this whole process, like I said, is expensive, use some of those free information that is there. And British Council has a lot of that. So you can go to the British Council, their libraries and all that, and you can get a lot of information that can help you prepare for the IELTS, okay? So for the class and preparation, you need about $10,000, 10,000 Kenya shillings, sorry. Again, like I said, these prices will vary depending on the time that you're going to be doing it. For the United States, the score that you need to do is you need to get a band of 7. Remember, you're being tested in listening, speaking, writing. Listening, speaking, writing. You need to get a band of 6 in speaking and at least an overall score of at least 6.5. 6.5 in writing and in listening, but you need 7 in speaking, okay? So at least when you know the scores that are expected, you'll know when you do it, whether you've passed it or not. Again, the importance of all this is because English language is considered the language of interest in the United States. That's what they use in the hospital. So that's why they want you to be able to speak English or to pass that English test, okay? So document verification, all right? So now that you have your English test, and again, I'm going to talk more about the English test later. The thing about the English test is like, it's good for 2 years. So you think about it this way. If your process is going to take more than 2 years, if you did it at the beginning, you might, it might have expired by the time you're ready to go. And you're going to need that with your CGFNS certificate, which has to accompany your visa appointment or your visa application. So it has to be in good standing. So you want to be careful about what time or at what point you're going to do it, okay? So the documents that need verification. So first of all, you need to get your transcript or your nursing certificate from the nursing school that you went to. You want to go to the nursing school that you went to, you want to get your transcript, and they need to send it to CGFNS. Now, you know how the nursing schools work. My suggestion would be get those transcripts, let the nursing school put it for you in a sealed envelope from the institution, take it, put it yourself in DHL and send it to CGFNS. That way you're sure it was sent. That, you know, just for you to be sure, because you might be waiting, you may have paid in the school waiting for them to send your certificate. They have so many people waiting and then it's not sent. So just be mindful. As long as whatever you get from your school, they've put it in an institutional envelope and they've put an institutional seal on it. Then take it as it is, put it inside a DHL envelope and send it yourself to CGFNS. That way you're sure that it reached or that it was sent. Okay, so official transcripts with an institutional seal from the school are sent directly to CGFNS. All right, then another thing about that transcript, the different transcripts, especially if you went to a private college, and this is just feedback I've been getting from some of the nurses so that I make sure I give you the right information. Some of the nurses have had their certificates sent to CGFNS and rejected because the way the certificate was written, it didn't capture all the competencies or the classes they had done. So it was showing like they were not qualified, but that's just because of the way it was written. So you want your certificate to be done the way the certificates for KMTC are done. So I would, if you went to a private college, get somebody who went to KMTC, let them show you how theirs is done and just go with a copy of that to your college and tell your principal or whoever is doing your certificate to do it in that way. They want it captured in that way. All of the CGFNS is just going to be looking at the subjects you did and the hours that were captured. So if you don't put the right hours, it will look like you don't qualify, yet you qualify. It's because of the way the certificate has been written. So just talk to your school, and most of the private schools are open to that, because you're not telling them to change it, you're just telling them to put it in a way that is going to be accepted by CGFNS. So just be mindful of that while you go there. You don't want that to delay you. Remember, the CGFNS process takes about 3 to 5 months. You don't want to send it there. It's been sitting there and then they come back and they tell you, you did it wrong, so you're missing an opportunity because of something that you could have taken care of. So just be mindful of that. The cost varies depending on the number of transcripts and the number of certificates that you have. So depending on the school you went to, the certificates that you have, that amount is going to vary. But it's usually about 5,000 Kenya shillings. But again, that varies. I just want you to have a number in mind so that you know what you're working with. The next thing that you need to send to CGFNS is your nursing license. Your nursing license. Your nursing license is at as the Nursing Council of Kenya. So go to Nursing Council of Kenya, request for them to send your license to CGFNS. Okay, so go to your Nursing Council of Kenya, ask them to send your license to CGFNS. I'm repeating this because I know at the questions people are going to be asking me the same questions. So I'm trying to repeat this so that we have clarity, so that we leave the Q&A for the questions that I've not captured. But I don't mind, again, clarifying at the end. So CGFNS plays 2 roles. It's verifying your transcripts and it's verifying your license. So it's verifying your transcripts, what you studied in school. Number 2, it's verifying your nursing license. Your nursing license has to be active, okay? All right, let's move on. I hope I've thrashed that one. Okay, so next. So here again, we're talking about the CGFNS role. And like I've said in the previous slide, they are verifying your education, that you went to this school, your curriculum was in English, you passed it, met the minimum competency levels. You want your certificates, especially if you went to a private school that is not KMTC or is not any of the public ones. They do their transcripts differently. So you want that done like the KMTC ones, okay? Then the Nursing Council of Kenya is verifying your license. This process usually takes, like I said, 3 to 5 months, and it costs $390. So CGFNS is going to cost you $390. And when you send it, you're going to have to go to the CGFNS portal, and then you're going to pay for the amount. Remember, your school and Nursing Council of Kenya is sending to them the documents. You yourself has to go to the portal and open that portal, pay the money, so that you now tell them your certificates are there, and now they can start the verification. All right, I hope I'm clear about that. So the school and the board are sending your documents to them. You have to go to the portal for CGFNS, register for credential verification, and pay $390. The $390 is for credential verification. When they have verified your credentials, they'll give you a certificate. So they're going to give you the certificate of credential verification. You're going to need that for you to be able to now get your testing, your authorization to test. So at this point, I also want to explain that CGFNS has to clear you, because remember, they're the ones who are verifying. They're the ones who are, sorry about that. They're the ones who are verifying your paperwork. So after you've done that, you want to now identify a nursing board that can get for you your authorization to test. When identifying this nursing board, you want to identify a nursing board, because basically what you're going to be doing is you're trying to get your license by exam. You're trying to get your license by exam. The advantage of trying to get your license by exam is that if you get the license from a nursing board in the United States that is a compact state, in other words, that allows you to practice in different states, then that gives you an advantage, because at this point, you don't know what state you're going to get a job in. So you want to be proactive in ensuring that you have a license that you can operate in any state, so that if you get a job, for example, in California, although California is not a compact state, so let me not use California. If you get a job in North Carolina, you can take it. If you get one in Atlanta, you can take it. If you get one in Chicago, you can take it. because you can operate in multiple states. And I have a slide that is going to be showing you what states are multiple states and what ones are not compact states. So you want to identify a state that will allow you to operate in multiple states. One of the ones that a lot of Kenyans are using is Texas and Illinois, Montana and New Mexico. The advantage of those states is that they don't, because for you, first of all, to even apply to those states, they want you to have a social security number. Now, remember, you don't have one. So you want a state that is going to allow you to test or to get the authorization to test without you having to give them a social security number or having to give them a driver's license. Texas allows you to do that. Illinois allows you to do that. But for Texas, they also expect you to do a jurisdiction exam. There's an exam that you have to do. Okay, so you want to, as you go to the nursing board in the United States, whatever nursing board you're going to be applying, look at their expectations and their qualifications. I'm just using Texas because a lot of the nurses have been telling me Texas is easier for them. So you want to use Texas, you want to use Illinois, one of those, just so that first and foremost, you get a license that allows you to practice in different states, because you are going to be looking for a job. You don't know what state you're going to be getting the job from. So you don't want to be kicked out because you don't have a license that can allow you to operate there. Anytime you don't have the right things, it delays the process. This whole process takes 2.5 years. It can take you 1 year or less, or about that, if you have your things done correctly. So that's why I'm trying to get you the right information so that you're doing it right, so you're not getting any delays, okay? So after now you've registered with the US-based Board of Nursing, that Board of Nursing is going to give you the authorization to test. They're going to give you the authorization to test. You need this authorization to test so that you can do your NCLEX exam. So you need the authorization to test, ATT. So you need that ATT so that you can be able to test. And at the end of the presentation, I'm going to just give you template that shows you step by step, every step that you need. And I'll allow you to just take a screenshot of that so that you can know this is how you need to do your stuff. Okay, let's go ahead. So again, CGFNS certification program. Like I said, the CGFNS, first of all, you get your credentials evaluated. It now helps you to get the ATT, because remember, if your credentials have not been evaluated, the Board of Nursing cannot give you an ATT, because the Board of Nursing is going to check with CGFNS to make sure your credentials are in the right place so that they can give you that authorization to test. The ATT is good for 4 months. So by the time you're applying to the Board of Nursing in the United States to give you that authorization to test, you should be at that point where you are ready to sit for the exam, because it's only going to be valid for 4 years. Now give yourself, 4 months. Sorry, 4 months, not 4 years, 4 months. Now give yourself that 4 months allowance. In the 4 months, you want to have gone to test. If you don't pass, you want to be able to come and redo it. So, but you have 4 months. So just keep those numbers in mind so that you're not going just when it's maybe 3.5 months. So you have half a month. And then if you don't pass it, it takes a long process for you to go again and ask again to be given another ATT. So you just want to put those numbers in mind, okay? Another thing about the CGFNS, once the CGFNS has done everything for you, it gives you your certificate. This certificate has to be included in every visa or green card petition filed. So CGFNS is going to give you that certificate. By the time CGFNS is giving you this certificate, it's going to include your English competency test, and it's going to include your NCLEX results. That certificate is the one that is going to have to accompany your visa petition or your green card petition. Okay. All right, let's go. I know this is a lot of information, but I'm trying to talk slowly. I hope I'm talking slow enough for you to follow. So after you've done all of that, then your next big thing, which is, I look at this as the real major thing, is for you to pass the NCLEX exam. So the NCLEX exam is just the National Council License Examination. And this is what allows you to be able to practice as a nurse in the United States. So that's the NCLEX. You want to prepare adequately for this test. The NCLEX test is basically a computerized adaptive test, CAT. It's a computerized adaptive test. What that means is that this test tests your competency from the lowest level to the advanced level. So the questions is, anytime it gives you a question, it's going to give you a question from the basic. For example, if it's giving you a question, if you are going to transfuse blood, the first basic question is going to ask you is, what do you need to have in place if you're going to transfuse blood? Of course, you're going to need to have the consent, a written consent from the patient. You're going to need 2 verifiers to verify, you're going to be checking your patient's allergies and all that. So that's going to be like your basic question, okay? Minimal level of competency. Now, if you get that question right, it now boots you up or kicks you up to the next level of question. Your next level of question is in that category would be you're transfusing blood to a patient. The patient starts having shortness of breath. They start having hives and all that. What's happening to them? They are getting an allergic reaction. So what are you supposed to do? Basically, you're going to stop the blood. You're going to get all the tubings and everything that was used. You're going to send it back to the blood bank, okay? So I'm just trying to show you how the questions go. This is going to help you when you're studying for the NCLEX because you have to have your content right. Understand your content, especially for my older nurses who you did your exams many years ago. You're going to actually need to sit down with a book, refresh your mind about the content, and then now start doing your questions, okay? And I think that's what I talk about in the next slide. So how do you prepare for NCLEX, okay? So you can prepare in many ways. You can use review books, online classes, offline classes, coaching, mentoring. My 2 main books that, I know I've gotten a lot of feedback from the nurses who've done this or who are already in this process or who are ahead of you in this process. They've told me Sanders is your best pick for content. Sanders is your best pick for content. So you want to look for Sanders, okay? Find the Sanders book. What a lot of these nurses are doing is that a lot of the agencies actually open for you an account. They open for you an account. It can be with Sanders, it can be with Davies, different NCLEX prep organizations. So they open for you an account and then you do the test practices. What the nurses are doing is they are sharing this content. For example, if I'm working with MedPro and MedPro has opened for me an account with Kaplan and John is working with what was the other one I said? Interstate. And Interstaff has opened for them an account with Sanders. We just share notes. That way, you don't have to have Sanders and Kaplan and, NCLEX World at the same time because they are expensive. So what a lot of these nurses have done is they've formed groups. You want to identify what groups. These groups already exist, by the way. The nurses who are already in this process are very proactive. And if you reach out to me, I'll tell you some of them. They are proactive. They have these WhatsApp groups and they are helping each other. So you want to be a member of that group. I see some of them. I'm in 2 of them. They post questions, things that can help you so that you're not at it alone. There's even a group that has formed of those who failed and they're going back. So they are redoing it. So they're encouraging each other, letting the person who has failed know, I also failed. I was able to study. This is how I changed my studying tactics. And then I was able to pass. This exam is hard. I don't even want to sugarcoat it for you. It's a hard exam. And yet it is what you need for you to be able to practice in the United States. So without the NCLEX, you can't even take advantage of this opportunity. What does that mean for me? That would mean for you, you have to give it a lot of time. For my nurses who are just starting, the ones, for example, who are just graduating from college, I would advise you, even though you have that 2-year window, start practicing the questions, start reading the content. If you get an NCLEX book, just start reading it. And that is going to help you to prepare, and I'll be able to send some links, because I get some of this information. I get some of the books where we can get you that information. Those of you who are in our group will be trying to put that content in the group so that you're able to just get that information as you go along your way. So you want to get the best book. Like I said, Sanders is best for your content. Kaplan is best for your questions. But for the questions, just do as many questions as you can. The good thing with Kaplan is that the practice test, the Kaplan has an exit exam. That exit exam, if at least you're scoring 65 to 70%, you're in a good place to gauge that you're going to pass the NCLEX exam. Another thing I want to tell you is that for those who are working with the agency also allows you to prepare. It preps you. Because remember, if the agency is going to pay for you that 80 or 100,000 to go to South Africa or India to do your exam, they don't want you to fail. They want you to pass on the first attempt because that's money they've already put in, okay? So the agencies also give you that exit exam. When they tell you study, please study. One of the big, because I'm in touch with 2 agencies, they are saying one of their biggest problem is the nurses are not following up. Please follow up. Follow up. Be the one who is proactive. Remember, this is your opportunity. The agency is just an agent. He's doing his job. You are the one who wants this opportunity. So if the agent has told you, I need this, be the one who is proactive, okay? Know, first of all, your agent's name. Know their telephone number. Be the one bugging them. Know their email address. If you send them an email, they haven't responded in 3 days, send a reminder email, okay? Tell them, I sent you an email on such day. I was asking you on this, any feedback. Be proactive. It makes your process go faster and your things fall into place faster. So just be proactive with that. Okay. So the testing locations, we do not have a testing location in Kenya. There isn't one coming soon, okay? I know there was something that was going around. People are saying, oh, they're saying there's a center coming up. No, there is none. It's not coming soon. Okay, so Kenya is not going to have a testing center. At least I'm sure not in 2022. I don't know. Things might change, but right now, no. So your testing centers are India, South Africa, the Philippines. India, South Africa, and the Philippines. Okay, most of the agents or the recruiters in Kenya are using India and South Africa. It's about the same amount, 80,000. Most of them tell me India is a little cheaper just because you can get cheaper flights to India, and the hotels are cheaper in India than they are in South Africa. The prices, again, I've put a price there about 100,000, about 200,000. It goes by the season. If you're going during low season, the flights go by seasons. If you're flying during low season, it's going to be cheaper. You get a cheaper flight. If you're flying during high season, it's going to be expensive. The same thing is going to apply when you're finally coming to the United States. You need to know when to buy your ticket. If you're going high season, it's going to be expensive. Low season, it's going to be, cheaper. So you want to just have that in mind. Again, you want to have an agency that is going to pay for you that amount, because as you can see, 80 to 100,000 is a lot of money. So if the agency is going to pay for you, that's fine. But if you're working with an agency like Interstaff that is going to give it back to you, go ahead, get that money, and then go. Don't let that be a hindrance. If there is a way you can make money, like if somebody tells me after you go and you pass, I'll give you the money back, go ahead, borrow the money, because you're going to be able to get it back, okay? So after you've now gone, you've done your NCLEX, then your next process is now to get your sponsor. In your case, if you're working for an agency, your sponsor is going to be your agency. Your recruiter is going to be your agency. They need to do for you what is called an I-40. So the I-40 is your, like your work permit, okay? To be visa eligible, you must have an I-40. In other words, you must have a sponsor. Who is this employer who is sponsoring you? Because you're coming in to work. So you need a work permit. The work permit is got by the sponsor or the employer. If you're going by it alone, you're also still going to need to get your employer to do your I-40. So you must have an I-40 approval, okay? So before you can file an immigration petition, your employer has to file I-40. So that's the work permit. So this process usually takes about 4 to 6 months to get approved. Remember, you cannot push immigration. Okay, so once your employer has paid, has done the I-40, and then they've now applied for the visa, the process takes 4 to 6 months. What most employers can do is they can pay for premium. They can pay for the premium practice. The premium will now shorten the process to under 3 months. So they can pay for the process to be expedited. Most employers, because of the shortage that they have, they are not now paying for that. Okay, so they can pay for you for that to be expedited. So again, it just depends on the agency, most of those agencies are only going to do expedite if the employer, remember the employer is the final person you're going to work with, agrees to expedite it. And some of those employers are going to do that because there's a shortage. They want the nurse, so they'll do whatever they need to do for that, okay? So the amount per person for that immigration process is $345. $345. That's about 30, I want to say 35, and I'll just round it off to 35,000 Kenya shillings. So $345,000. $345, not thousand, $345. Okay. So you want to fill in the forms and wait to be scheduled for an interview. So once your employer has done the I-40, and then you've been given, they filled your visa application, the visa, you're going to be told, you're going to be given a day for the interview, okay? So the interview may take 6 months or more, depending on the immigration landscape at that time. Right now, there's been a lot of backlog. So a lot of people, because of the COVID, they are so backed up. So some people are, the process that was supposed to take 1.5 years, some people have really been waiting 3 years and all that. But they are catching up now. A lot of the people are going back to the offices to work. So immigration is also catching up with that. So your process might not take as long as somebody who was affected by the COVID situation. So things are starting to pick up. So yeah, this would be a good time for you to start your process. I don't think it would take as long as somebody who started it 2 years ago. Okay. Okay. So visa requirements, again, like I've said, you need that I-40, the work permit. It is this work permit that is finally turned into a green card. Okay. If you're working again with a recruitment agency, they are well versed with this whole process. So they're going to work it out for you. If you're going at it alone, then you need to understand that your employer is going to be the one to do your I-40, and then you're going to get your visa application. But then from there, the process follows. You just have to wait the 3 to 6 months. If your employer decides to do it faster, then it's going to be less than 3 months, okay? All right. So other ways that you can come to America, apart from that process, if you're going to a place, you can get a temporary H-1B visa. This is only for people, nurses who are going to specialty areas or undeserved areas. Again, this will be for the person who is doing theirs directly. So if they get an employer who is taking them to an underdeserved area and they're coming with a specialty, then they would come through the H-1B visa. Again, the process would just be almost the same, okay? All right, so going through the process, like I said, the process usually takes 4 to 6 months. You may pay for premium processing. Again, that's your employer or your recruiter who is going to pay that amount. The filing for self is $345 per person. Now, what the agencies are doing, they help you come with your family. So if you're coming as a nurse, you're coming with your family. So the family, the recruitment agency is only going to pay yours, just for you, the $345 for you. If you have 2 children, you have to get the $345 for each of the children. So it's $345 for each one of you, but the recruiter is only paying for you. It's not paying for your dependents. Let me talk about the dependents part. Your dependents in this case is your children. I know last time I said it was up to 18. I was corrected on that. So you can bring a child up to 21 years old. A child up to 21 years old qualifies in this process. So if you have a child who is 21 and below, they qualify for you to come with them. If they are over 21, they do not qualify. But once you come, you can always apply for them. But that's now a story for a different day. I'm just putting that out there because I know somebody was asking me, if my child is 30, what will I do? Come first, and you can always apply for your child. And you know, there are other ways for family members to come, okay? Please have your passport ready. I remember one nurse was saying they went through the process and they realized, oh, I don't have my passport. You can't be doing this process if you don't have your passport, okay? So have your passport ready. Can I take a break here, Christine, so that you, okay. And I'll
That's a good idea. That's a good idea, Joyce. Maybe we allow you to take a cup of glass of water or something.
Okay.
I see the numbers have increased as we were going along. Thanks for all of you who have joined up. If you haven't met me already, my name is Christine. Joyce and I are working on this to open up this opportunity to as many people as possible. Our session today is mainly focused on addressing those areas that came up since the last webinar. There's a lot of questions that we have received. And even as Joyce is taking a break, for those who have just joined, I had said, if you're not already on our mailing list, if you want to receive correspondence from us, I recommend that you put your name, your email address, and your WhatsApp number in the chat. Name, email address, and WhatsApp contact. Please make sure that the country code is in, because if without that, we do not know which country you're in and we're not able to reach you on WhatsApp. Some numbers that I receive are not on WhatsApp. If you have 2 numbers, be careful to give us the telephone number that is on WhatsApp so that then we can add you on the group. A lot of the people who are here today to receive this information from the WhatsApp group, we address the questions that show up there. So it would be a good idea for you to get on our mailing list and on the WhatsApp group. I see a lot of questions already in the chat. We are going to be addressing this at the end. So once again, as Joyce is going through the presentation, if you have any questions that you want to ask, it would be a good idea for you to put those in the chat. As you can see, there's a lot of information that you need to get. There's a lot of information that you need to get, and we're doing our best to supply this to you. So you need to take a screenshot of one of the screens so that you will remember this. If you need to be taking notes, we really recommend that. That's a very, very good idea, so that then you're able to catch the process. With any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us. We're trying to help our fellow Kenyans, our fellow Africans, because there's opportunity there. And if you have had, like Joyce said that in the introduction, to whom much is given, much is required. And so we're doing our best to open this opportunity. Joyce is really, truly giving of herself, because she has a few full-time jobs. She really doesn't need to do this, but she's doing it just to hold the hand of the person who could be helped. And a lot of people have already migrated. We're going to start to share their stories as we go along. I don't know whether, Joyce, you're ready to go back. Yes, I can see your contacts are coming through. Put your contacts in the chat as well as your questions. We are addressing those at the end. We are almost at the end, not to worry. We will begin to address your questions. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so let's continue. Thank you for that, Christine. So we're going through the process now. Like I said, the process takes 4 to 6 months. The agency is going to file for just you, the $345. Again, that might change because the immigration costs usually change from time to time, okay? Dependents include your child, children, and spouse. I already said who your children is. You know who your children is, who are your children are, sorry. But again, one question somebody was asking, what about if I've adopted the child? Please have the right paperwork. Have the right paperwork. Let it have gone through a lawyer and everything. Just have your right paperwork so that you don't get there and you're being delayed because of that. Another question I've been asked is, do I have to come with my children at that time? You can come with your children, or you can let your children come later on. Everybody's situation is different. If you have young children, I know you're going to want to come with your children. Older children, you might want to leave them, whichever way. My advice is, this is a new country, new process. It's vigorous, it's hard. I would leave them, come, settle down, and come back for them, or just pay for them if they are older to come unaccompanied. But again, that's a decision that you, the individual, has to make. But having been here, when I came with my children, but I had somebody here who was helping me. My husband was here, so he received us. But even then, it was still a lot. So it just depends. If you're planning to come with your children, make sure you've got in touch with somebody so that you're coming in and somebody is receiving you and helping you get around. And we'll talk about that later. Your spouse. This has been the biggest challenge for a lot of the nurses. Your spouse, please, please, please have a valid marriage certificate. Valid marriage certificate. Now, the nurses who've been here, some of them told me, Joyce, make sure you talk about this because some of us have found ourselves in big trouble. What some of the nurses end up doing when they get this opportunity, they meet that boyfriend who you've been going out with, and then you quickly get married and you come. When he comes here, he's giving you hell. Please don't make that quick decision. This is your life, okay? They just wanted me to say that. So I'm saying that. So just that's just free information, common sense. Please, please, please. You don't want to come here and somebody begins to give you stress. Already the life here is different. It's hard. You're trying to adjust. You want the right person. So again, right marriage certificate. The other concern has been single parents. How about if I can't get the baby daddy or the baby mama to sign the certificate? What do I do? You need for them to clear the child. Do that earlier. If this is something you're thinking of going to do, you want to do, go ahead, clear your family issues early. Make sure the dad has cleared the child. You're going to need they are going to need a letter of consent from a lawyer showing the father has accepted. They're going to need his identity card, all of that information to show that they have let you be the sole person, owner of the child. So just get those straight, because those are some of the things that have delayed people's processes. Make sure you have the right marriage certificate, valid right birth certificate, okay? Don't let, one nurse told me hers was delayed because she had the wrong name on the birth certificate. Well, Kenya, if you're going to change this birth certificate, do it right, have the right names. Okay, right name of the father. Those people pick on any small thing. You don't want any of that to delay my fellow Kenyans. Please, let's do this right. I don't want you to miss an opportunity as a nurse because you couldn't come because the baby daddy or the father of your child could not allow your child to come. Those are things that we can solve. Okay. I hope they told me to stress that it's been a big problem here. So that's why I'm talking about it. Get police clearance for anyone who is over 16 years old. So if you're coming with your children, if they're over 16, you're going to need that police clearance. You're going to need the police clearance for you. Another point where you're going to need the clearance, when you're applying, remember the part of applying to the nursing board to get the authorization to test, you're going to need police clearance for that also. When you go to the nursing board, whatever nursing board you'd have chosen, whether it's Texas, Illinois, whichever one you'd have chosen, they're going to need that background check. Background check, okay? So you're going to need that. It's a little different from the clearance, but I'll talk about it a little bit later, okay? The next thing is get your immunizations. You can do some of this ahead. Again, I don't have the list. It's a really long list, but if you go to the CDC website, you will be told what immunizations you need. So you need your immunization certificate clear. If you're getting some of these immunizations in advance, make sure the doctor is indicating, okay? If he gives you whatever immunization you have got, you need them. COVID vaccinations is a must. You must have had two. Must have had two of them. So your first shot and your second shot, okay? Now, there's been an issue about some people, because in Kenya, I think it's AstraZeneca and all that. Just get the COVID certificate. When you come here, they might give you a booster, okay? Now, they don't have boosters for AstraZeneca because that's in Europe, but just have your 2 COVID shots. Let me not complicate that. First shot, second shot. The rest, they're going to help you through once you get here, okay? The date of your medical exam, IOM, that's International Organization for Immigration, does all your medical work. So once you get a visa date, you'll also be given a day for going for your medical clearance. You want to go there, and you want to go when you already have a lot of your vaccinations in place. Otherwise, IOM is going to offer to give them to you. They are going to charge you 3 times the price. So if I were you, I'll do it early. The medical process takes about 60,000 plus or minus. So again, these numbers are just to help you have an idea. You might get a better deal, so yeah. Don't be so stuck on them. She said 60,000. No, I'm just giving you numbers of approximately, depending on those people who've used them, okay? All right, so have a checklist for the embassy. It's just critical to have that. It's helpful. Even your immunizations, you want to have a list of them so that you're checking them out, so that you're making sure you've gotten everything that you need to get. All right. Okay, let me see. Okay. Placement interviews. So you've gotten your medical, you've gotten your day for the interview. So at that time, you want to start interviewing with different jobs. Most of the agencies will organize for you certain interviews, but again, it's many of you. Remember, this is your call. This is your call. So you're the one who wants this opportunity. Stop relying on the agency to do everything. There are some things that you can be proactive, okay? And in the next slide, I'm going to show you, some of the placement or the recruitment, nursing recruitment or placement agencies that you can use so that you can actually Google. Just go to Google, check for nursing jobs, RN jobs in the United States. A lot of them will come up. And then you just identify them, organize your interview, you let your agency know. Once you interview, your agency just wants to be sure you have a job, and then the process will continue for you. Most of the times after you've interviewed with those jobs, if they are going to take you, they will give you a response in 24 hours. If after 24 hours you don't get a response, go to the next one. So if I were you, I would do as many as possible. The one that takes you is the one you want to take, okay? So just that. Again, for the interview, remember at the beginning when I was talking about the mock interview, for you to start working with an agency, the agency is going to have interviewed you. You want to keep those interviewing skills, those questions they're going to ask you for the job. They're going to ask you the job that identifies you is going to ask you the very same questions. They want to see critical areas. How good are you in critical thinking? Critical thinking is so key. Critical thinking. They want to see priority. Do you know how to prioritize your patients? They want to see that you've worked in a hospital that had at least 150 beds to 250 beds. Okay. In Kenya, you work with a lot of patients. So the truth is you've all worked in an area that has 150 beds. Keep that in mind, okay? So they want to see that you're a team player. They want to see that there is something special, stand out. What is that one thing that makes you stand out, that you can do better? That idea, that concept that you brought up at your place of work that gave your patients the best outcome. So you want to keep those things in mind when you're interviewing. That's what is going to give you a good opportunity. Articulate your words. You don't have to speak. I've been here for 20 years. I'm still speaking like a Kenyan. Of course, when I'm speaking with the Americans, comes out. But they want to make sure that you're pronouncing your words correctly. So don't be too intimidated about, trying. One nurse was telling me she was trying so much to talk like an American, she failed the test. Be yourself. They understand English. So you're speaking English, and we learned the Queen's English. We speak the best English. Actually, Americans don't know English. They speak something close to English, not English, but that's just off the cuff. You speak better English than them. They just have an accent. So don't be intimidated about your English. You speak good English, I can assure you. You write excellent English. We were taught well, okay? So just take your time when you're being interviewed, okay? When they ask you the question, if you don't understand, just tell them, can you repeat that question slowly? Okay, always tell them, repeat it slowly, because they assume we all talk like them, and sometimes they talk too fast. You're going to miss the question and you're going to start answering a question they didn't ask you, okay? So one of the best ways for you to do is repeat the question to them, so they ask you the question and say, are you telling me to answer A, B, C, D? Then they're like, yes, that's what we want you to tell them, okay? Then you now go ahead and start answering the question. Take your time when you're answering these questions. Just be intentional, take a deep breath. You will do well. I believe in all of you. We were taught good English. Just remember that. If you forget anything during the interview, just remember Joyce telling you, you can do this. Your English is good. You were taught good English. You can do this, okay? Okay, so remember at this point, you just want an employer so you can relocate. So don't be choosy. The first one that accepts to give you the I-40, that's the one you're going with. After that, remember it's 2 years. Your contract is going to be 2 years with that employer. After the 2 years, you have a green card and you can work for anybody and anywhere in the United States. So at this point, you just want your foot at the door, in the door. So just be mindful of that. Okay. Find a registered nursing position. Again, same thing that I was saying, you just want a position, just go to Google RN positions in the US, they are going to pop up, and then, get the first one that gives you an opportunity, and let's go with that one, okay? Here is a list of top sites of nursing jobs that you can go to. Like I said, go to Google, googlenursing.com, nurseoljungle.com, Onward Healthcare, RNs Wanted, Nurse Finder, Nurse MP, Campus RN, Diversity Nursing, Health Jobs Plus, any of those. These again are just a few, but I just wanted you to have an idea of where you can start. So just go online, Google one of these, the jobs will come. Like I told you, there is a shortage of nurses. Everyone is employing. So the jobs are just going to pop up. Okay. All right. So what do you expect once you're in the United States? So once you come in, remember you'd have been given that visa. You're coming in with your documents at your entry point. One of the things you don't want to do is, and now they're doing it differently. So I don't know what the situation is going to be at the time you're coming. But if IOM gives you that sealed envelope, or you're given that sealed medical envelope at your entry point, do not tamper with it. Don't tamper with that envelope. It will be opened at your entry point. Okay. Now they are trying to do most of that online, so that helps. So if they give you a physical envelope, don't tamper with it. Let the immigration officer be the one to open it. Everything you'll be given when you do the interview at the embassy, don't open it. Just bring it as it is, okay? Before I continue with this, the embassy interview is very easy. That one is not technical. Basically, when you finally go for the interview at the embassy, they just want to know who your recruiter is, who your employer is, what state you're going to go to. Of course, by that time, they have your clearance, your background clearance. And of course, if you're coming with your family, they have the information for your family. So they are going to again ask you, do you have any criminal background? The answer is no. Stop thinking through it. You don't have it. If your clearance has been, one person said they were like, may I? You've already given them an idea that you're doubting yourself. So listen to their questions. Don't be in a hurry to answer. Pause, process the question in your head, and then answer. But the interview questions are straightforward, nothing too difficult. So you'll be able to get through that. So when you get here, your social security number, at your entry point, ask them, are you giving me my social security number here? Is it going to be mailed to me? Make sure they have the right mailing address. One of the nurses had to wait 3 weeks because she had written the wrong mailing address. This is your social security number. You do not want it to get lost. This is what makes you function here in the United States. Make sure they have the right address so that it comes to you. When you get here, another thing you're going to need to do is get your driver's license. You want to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles in the state that you have come to and get your driver's license. Why is the driver's license important? If you did not apply for your license by exam, remember where I was talking about going to the nursing board, and then they are the ones who give you the authorization to test. So when you get your license, you get your license for that state. If you did not go through that and you just got your ATT and did your NCLEX, that means you need your driver's license so you can apply for a license in the state you've now been called to. Or if you went through the license by exam, but you have been called to a state like California, that is not a compact state, you're going to need your driver's license. So now you can go and apply for the nursing license in California, because you cannot operate with the compact state license because California is not a compact state. Okay, I hope that is clear. Again, I know this is a lot of information, but yeah. Apartment lease. Remember I was telling you, you want a recruitment agency that sponsors you for your apartment. For you to be given a lease to rent an apartment here, you're given a lease. For you to be given that lease, you need to have a credit history. Now you're coming from another country, that means you do not have a credit history. The American system does not have anywhere in their system that shows you're good with credit. You're going to have to build that while you're here. So they won't give you that lease, but if your recruiter has sponsored you, then they will stand and say, yes, we are the ones who are standing for this person, we are their sponsor, so you will be given that lease, okay? Car rental, the rental or the Uber, Uber you can always use, rental you can always use, but a car, you want an agency that is going to, again, identify for you that car dealer and identify for you a bank, most likely a credit union bank that allows you to be given a loan. Again, in this case, they are standing as your sponsor. So that is some of the roles the recruiters are doing. So you want a recruiter that is going to help you with that. I know some people have been asking me, do we have to have a new car? No, you don't. So if you're buying it secondhand, if you have the cash, then that's easier. You won't have to have all of that because you're just going to pay cash to the person who is selling the car to you. You want to find a bank that works for you. I advise starting with the credit union banks just because they allow you to start getting credit cards early. They help you build that credit history. That credit history is very key, and it's not something we can talk in this webinar. It needs more time to explain and help somebody with that. You want to connect with other Kenyan groups. Again, you want to, when you're in this process, please make sure you're in one of the WhatsApp groups for the nurses who've gone ahead of you. They will just give you a lot of information that will help you with that. Again, if you're in our group, again, we will be helping you to get a lot of that information. So connect with other nurses who've gone ahead, same thing. If you're coming with your children, you want to identify the school for the children or the daycare where you're going to take the children. There are no maids here. It is you and your family. So you want to identify what school. Again, like I said, this process, it depends on when you're coming and when your recruiter does everything for you. But if you're given a choice, and you can come during the summer, I would advise you to come then. That way, your child is in the house while you're trying to figure yourself out and figure your environment and figure the school they are going to go to. You don't want a situation where you are trying to figure yourself out, you're trying to figure out what school your child is going to go to. Again, it's a lot. That's why I said, if it is possible, you come, settle down, and then go back for your children or for your family. But again, that is a call that it's going to be your call. That's just my advice. Okay. All right, so finances. How much does this whole process need? How much does this whole process need? It depends on, my answer is going to be, it depends. What does it depend on? Number one, if the recruiter is doing for you most of the things, as you can see, they pay most of the things. They pay the CGF finesse fee, they pay for you your transport to testing center, they pay for you your visa application process. But you still have to have some money for yourself, like the medical. If you're going it by yourself, then you have to have everything by yourself. Most of the nurses have told me the process takes at least about 300,000 Kenya shillings. So about $3,000, okay? What are some of the ways you can get these finances? Most of the nurses, again, have told me the best way is please belong to a SACCO. The SACCO is so helpful. A lot of them have been helped by being in a SACCO. So if this is something you're thinking about, remember it's a 2-year process. In that 2 years, start belonging to those SACCOs, start paying into them so that you can get a loan from that. Or if you're just saving your money. So again, how do you get the money is going to be something that you have to figure out. I'm just giving some suggestions, but the SACCO, a lot of the nurses have said the SACCO has been very helpful to them. How much money should you have when you arrive? Apart from the 300 that takes you the process, you need again another at least 300,000 or $3,000. Why? I told you I was helping one of the nurses who came with O'Grady. So she's the one who her social security was sent to a wrong place, so things delayed. So she was not able to start work until after 2 months. So O'Grady pays for her the first, pays for her lease, the down payment and the first month. So the second month, she had to pay the money by herself, okay? So that, the good thing, O'Grady had set them up with a credit union. So at least she was able to get a credit card, and that's how she was able to pay for that, okay? But she also needed money for the car, for settling down, buying your furniture, all of that. So because you do not know how the situation is going to be, it would just be more proactive for you to have that money just in the event that this is a new country. Like I said, you know, you might even find Kenyans who are going to help you, but they're not going to help you with money. They have their own issues. So you just want to at least have in mind that. And I'm giving you the maximum to have, you know, if you have 100,000, 150,000, you're going to manage, but comfortably, that's what you need to have. You're going to need a car, you're going to need to settle down, you're going to need to furnish your house and all that, you know. A lot of those things, again, will go with time. But again, that's a conversation for another day. It's not something we can capture in today. All right, so this is the page I was telling you about. All right, so this is breakdown of the process. Please take a screenshot of this page, okay? And I've tried to put the amounts there. And as you're doing that, I'm also going to read for you. One of the nurses was very kind to send me some information that was broken down. So let me just go through that as you take your screenshot there. Okay, so this is what they've written for me. They say the requirements, the fees to be paid directly to CGFNS is about 35,000 Kenya shillings. Your secondary school certificate, KMTC or university certificate, your transcripts, your NCK registration certificate, and a valid practicing license. Verification fees, that is verification from the NCK, is about 12,000 Kenya shillings. KMTC, that is for your transcripts, it's about 5,000 Kenya shillings. They've advised that you send it, like, remember I was telling you, when you get the certificates from your school, put them yourself in the envelope you've been given, put it in a DHL envelope and send it yourself. It will be even cheaper for you. And they've said that costs about 4,800 Kenya shillings, okay? Processing for CGFNS, it costs you about 5,000 Kenya shillings. That is for the account creation. Remember I told you you have to create an account with CGFNS. So the account creation is going to cost you about 5,000 Kenya shillings. And then the subsequent follow-up processes, okay? Then the next process is application process, depends on the state. Remember where I said you're talking to the state nursing board of Kenya, the state that you're processing through. So that's your next step. Different board of nursing states require have different requirements, okay? Your background check, okay? So the nursing board here in the United States is going to need to do a background check. So you'll be required to do a background check by completing fingerprint cards. So you'll do fingerprint cards, and then you're going to mail them to the appropriate address. Background check ranges from 38 to 45 45 US dollars, okay? So 45 US dollars, that's about 4,500 Kenya shillings, okay? Then the jurisprudence exam, nursing jurisprudence exam, NJE, that is expected by Texas. Remember I told you, because Texas does not require you to have your social security or your voter's card for them to give you that authorization to test, but there is an exam they want you to do, okay? So this is one of the requirements for Texas State Board of Nursing. The exam is online. It can be assessed once you have created an account with the Texas Board of Nursing, okay? And that's the nursing jurisprudence exam. And I'm going to forward this to the group. So those who are in the group or those who are joining, all this information is going to be there so you can be able to read it again. And then your Pearson registration. So Pearson is the body that actually regulates the NCLEX exam, okay? So this is done after you have got the nursing board has given you your ATT authorization to test. Then you register with the Pearson. You register with Pearson for the NCLEX exam. So the requirements for the registration, you need your credential evaluation certificate. So the report from the credential evaluation certificate, which is from the CGFNS. Okay, so CGFNS, after it has evaluated your credentials, it will give you a certificate. So that report or a report. So that's what we need. You need your background check, the background check report. Remember, it's going to send you that background check that you needed. And then you need the NJ certificate. That's for Texas. The NJ certificate is the nursing jurisprudence exam. Okay. Then the next, the cost for all this, Pearson is going to cost. Yes. Sorry. Excuse me for that. Pearson is going to cost 20,000 Kenya shillings. Pearson registration, that's the NCLEX. So for the NCLEX exam, you're paying 20,000 Kenya shillings. The international scheduling is going to cost you 15,000 Kenya shillings, okay? So remember, you pay for the exam and then you have to be scheduled. So the whole process for NCLEX is going to be $350 US, 20,000 for registration for the NCLEX, 150 for scheduling, international scheduling, okay? And this is paid directly to those bodies, okay? And this excludes the bank charges. So there's going to be some bank charges. So it's not going to be that exact 20 plus 15,000. The bank might ask you a little bit more for the processing fee. And then step 6, exam booking. Immediately you get your authorization to test, you are eligible to book for your exam. Most states will give you a maximum ATT valid period of 6 months. So CGFNS will give you, remember I told you it was valid for 4 months. Because of COVID, they increased it to 6 months. So for right now, your ATT is valid for 6 months. So just note that correction. I know in the slides I've said 4 months. It used to be 4 months, but after COVID, they increased it. They gave you another 2 months. So you have 6 months for the ATT. So that's good because that gives you more time to organize for your exams. So ATT is now 6 months, 6 months, not 4 months, 6 months, okay? Okay, and then the test country visa application. So when you obtain your ATT, you can proceed and apply for a visiting visa to a testing center of your convenience. In other words, you need a visa. If you remember, we said there's no testing center in Kenya. So your testing centers are going to be in South Africa or India. So go ahead and start processing for that visa for India or South Africa or the Philippines, okay? So currently Africa has a testing center in Johannesburg, that's in South Africa, okay? To obtain this visa, you will need to visit the South Africa Embassy in Westlands. So the South Africa Embassy is in Westlands, okay? Nairobi. So just making it easier for you. So for South Africa is in Westlands. I don't know where the one in India is. I want to say it's somewhere downtown. I don't know exactly, but the one for South Africa is in Westlands, okay? So the cost is 5,500. You may pay by M-Pesa to the embassy. So application for South Africa for the visa is 5,500, okay? And it takes 7 days. So just keep these numbers in mind because you don't want to be to be starting to, you know that you've been, remember you're given a day to test, okay? After you get authorization to test, you're going to be given, remember I said the 150 for the scheduling. So they are going to schedule you for a date. You cannot afford to miss to go on that date. For example, if your testing day is the 25th, you need to have that. Please don't wait until the 20th, then you're starting to rush to the embassy in South Africa and trying to get a visa quickly. No. So you have to be proactive, get your visa, I would say 2-3 months in advance so that you know, this is my testing day, I'm going for it. So again, just for South Africa, somebody was able to help me with that. Exam booking and flight to the test center. So I've said immediately you get your ATT, you're eligible to book for the exam. Most states will give you a maximum of 6 months to schedule for your exam. The exam scheduling, I've said it's 150. They will give you a date. Once you secure a date, you can now book your hotel close to the testing center and get your flight ticket. One of the advice one of the nurses gave was that you want a hotel close by. Please don't rush yourself. This is the exam that is going to determine whether you get this position. So don't go like you're going to fly and then, because I think the flight to South Africa is about 5 hours, I want to say 4 hours. I'm not sure, but don't quote me on that. But you don't want the day you're flying in, the next day early in the morning, you're going to do the exam. You want to reach there, get 1 day when you're resting, refreshing yourself, and then go and do the exam because the jet lag, all of that. So just take your time, give yourself at least 4 days. The day you fly in, that day of resting, the testing center, and then the testing day, and then the next day you can leave. So just think through those things when you're making your hotel reservations and all that, okay? You want a hotel reservation that is close by. This is a country you don't know. You don't want to be something to happen to you on the way because you went too far and all that. So just the nitty-gritty, those little things that sometimes we don't pay attention to, okay? So then there's the visa screening. This is done after you're meeting with the US IELTS band requirements. So you meet remember the IELTS exam, the English exam that you need. It's at this point that candidates might want to get agencies to take them through the process of the visa screening. So remember, I was telling you the IELTS is good for 2 years. So depending on your process, you might want to wait until, some people prefer to do the IELTS just before NCLEX, you know, but you want to do it closer to that time just so that it doesn't expire, because like it expires after 2 years, okay? For private candidates, visa screening costs about 54,000 Kenya shillings, okay? So that was just something that somebody gave me, and then they said approximately for a private candidate, you are going to need about 215 Kenya shillings. So that is just, somebody was kind enough to just send me something that is helpful. I'm sure you've taken your screenshot by now. So yeah, and that helps you with everything. So just to go through, you know, fast, and it's a recap of everything I was saying. Your CV with references. Remember the tips I told you about the CV, bed number, experience, your right references. You need that. Recruitment agency. You already remember what we need, what you want, a recruitment agency that is going to give you the best. You want to be prepared for the interview with the recruitment agency. As you're applying to this recruitment agency, have your CV done well so that you're not kicked out, okay? We've put the amount for the CGFNS. Just remember, for the CGFNS, your credentials, your certificate from your school. If you went to a private school, you want to remember that it is done in the right way, KMTC way. Get somebody who went to KMTC, see how they did their certificate and all that. For those working with who are going to be in the group, I'll get somebody's certificate. I'll put that in the group so that you can see how those credentials need to be put together, okay? You want to put that by yourself in a DHL envelope and send it. NCK, you want them to send that for you. Again, like I said, the board, you want to choose the nursing board in the United States that has the least requirements. Texas, most of them are saying Texas is the best. So use Texas. It has worked for them. You'll get a lot of feedback from them. And like we've said, the information that I said, there's a test that they need you to do. So just make sure you have all of that. Get your authorization to test, exam scheduling. Make sure you remember the day of your exam. You don't want to reach there. And again, when you're booking your flight, let's assume that your exam is on the 20th. You don't want to be leaving like on the 21st. What if your flight is canceled or delayed? Okay, so you want to leave like maybe the 20th, something like that. Just have those things in mind so that you're not taken by surprise. Visa for South Africa is $55. I think for India is $100. Somebody had told me that, but again, don't quote me on that. Just check their embassy and see, okay? The IELTS and the I-20, your visa screening, IOM, embassy interview, travel to the US and settling in the US, okay? So I hope you've all taken that. I've given you a lot of time to screenshot that one, so you should be good on that, okay? All right. Oops, am I going back or down? All right. Okay, so that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope it was helpful, and over to you, Christine, so that we can start the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Joyce, sorry. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I often do webinars with someone known as Jeffrey. That's why the names are in my mind. But thank you so much. I think I'll first stop the recording.